All right, what's good, everybody? Yesterday I was talking. I'm going LitCon with this because LitCon is so writer oriented that I can blog about a different subject that pertains to LitCon and kind of take two birds with one stone. That's savage, right? But let me just get Florida LitCon is building up. I'm actually let me get my eyes because I'm not going in the sun anymore. But Florida LitCon is actually going to be is picking up. I'm in April right now, and people are calling me for tables, texting me emails. So the second room opening up is real possible. But anyway, one of the things I talked to an illustrator about yesterday was kind of a different angle of what contributed to me coming up with this idea of having books be the focus and matching them with film. And I'm probably going to blog about it again this week about, writing and books. But one of the things was, in comparison to other comic cons or comic book conventions, LitCon is really inspired by those comic conventions that really focus on the book part of the comic book convention, the comic as well as the book, because again, it's not a pinup convention, so the characters don't exist outside of their stories. And so a lot of these comic conventions have gotten away from the book, not just the physical book, but even the comic book. I talk to illustrators that have their own creator-owned properties, and many times in some of these conventions, and a lot of people have been complaining, comic book sellers and others, that people just come there for the cosplay. People just come there for, pinups, to see the celebrities. Illustrators are coming there with their own books, but yet the people that are buying want a drawing, want a illustration made. They want to buy a poster. They want to buy a t-shirt. They want to buy a toy. And while I have no problem with any of that, it's not a toy festival. It's not a t-shirt festival. It's barely a commissions festival with illustrators. It's a comic book festival, an emphasis on the book. Comic, it's not even a character festival. So the cosplaying and all that is secondary. So one of the person I was talking to on the phone was like, people in Miami don't read. And I said, well, interestingly enough, Miami has one of the biggest book fairs in America, the Miami Book Fair. And while it celebrates international books, most of the people that come there, probably 90% of them, are from Florida and the Miami area. Now, the guests, they come from all over the world, and the books they feature are from all over the world, but the patrons are from Florida, South Florida, probably as north as, Orlando and them, but they have their own book festival, so it's really, West Palm Beach and down. So I say that. Why do I mention that? We also have one of the biggest independent bookstores in America, outside of probably Second and Charles, which was owned by Books A Million, which is owned by Books A Million. Books and Books is a large book chain. They're on NPR down here. And so there's a lot of literary stuff. My feeling is that the comic cons, not just the ones down here, but, a lot of the ones that have sprung up. I'm talking about the majors like New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con, probably some of them in Atlanta. I always say Dragon Con is kind of my favorite. But, some of the ones that have been, over 20 years old, right? The ones that's 10 years and younger, maybe they are these cosplay conventions, And what I say about them is, as a writer, I first entered Comic Cons as a comic book writer. I had my first comic book in 2005, 2006. Shout out to Eric Allen Nelson, the illustrator, and Rolo, who did my covers. But yeah, I came out in 2006, 2007 to comic book conventions with a comic book. Now I sell mostly books, and people come up to me and say, "Wow, I didn't know you were here. I didn't expect to see any books." And I think what has happened is the focus has been so much on the celebrity guests, the cosplaying contest, the t-shirts and toys, even illustrations, that the writers of these comic books have become less and less featured. The panels in terms of talking about the evolution of these characters and the stories in these books have become less and less the focal point, and at the cons. And so for people that want to come, they're coming just to drop off their children. I came to let my son have a good time. It's run around. My daughter's in her costume. She's with her friends, and I didn't know you were here. Wow, you have books, and it's beautiful, but it's different than a book fair, because at a book fair or at an old comic book convention, people were coming there with buying comics in mind. So they were like, I came here, I wanted to get some new comic books. So they got that comic book money. Or you come to a book fair, I'm looking for some new books. I know this comes around every year, so this is when I do my new book shopping, because I can get a book signed. These people buy books. These people will look for comic books. But if you have a convention where books, whether they're comic books or physical books or novels, is not really the focus, people don't come with that in mind. They don't come with book dollars. They don't come with comic book dollars. As much as I like cosplayers, I don't think they should be the only ones billed. If somebody's buying a table, or if somebody has a new comic book out that they wrote, they illustrated, or whatever role they played in the production of it, that's just as much of an original creation, probably even more than somebody who's made their own costume, off of somebody else's character. Now, if you come with your own originally created character, that is hot. You know what I'm saying? But for somebody who has taken time to write a character, illustrate that character, give that character a visual design, and then put a story around it, bravo. And I know there's cosplayers out there who do original characters, and that is a little different than, I look like Morpheus and I'm just going to get dressed up like Morpheus, because that's kind of the cosplay that I would do. And I don't think it should be either or. I think it should be and. We've got cosplayers and we've got the writer of the comic book that the character is cosplaying. Put them together, put them next to each other. You know what I'm saying? So now you got that whole brand in the convention. Or you put all the writers together. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just think, for me, what I did with Florida LitCon was not alienate anybody, but to really focus on the literature, the book, the story of all of it, because that's the common thread, whether it's cosplaying, whether it's a movie, whether it's a book, whether it's a comic book, whether it's a picture, whether it's an illustration. Even when you're doing role-playing games, when you're drawing a character, why does that character have long boots? Why does that character have shorts? Why is that character's hair yellow or orange? Why are they so muscular? Why do they have a knife? Why do they have a shield? Why do they have bracelets? Whatever it is that you designed your character, there's some element of the story that is important to that character. So the story is the primary element of every aspect of a character. Of a Comic-Con, the book, the story is primary. And for Florida LitCon, that's what we're focusing on. We're focusing on the story, bringing the story back to its prominence, its important place. And, my goal is to marry story creators with story tellers, right? So if a writer is a story creator, then A illustrator is a storyteller. If a writer is a story creator, then a filmmaker is a storyteller. If even take this, even if the writer is the creator, the cosplayer is the story portrayer. How about that? I will marry it with everybody, even with RPG games. You know, you think it's just everybody does everything, you know, but no, there's a writer that comes up with the story. The game master either takes a story that's already in the book, or they create their own scenarios for the role players to play in. So story becomes primary. And again, like I said, you know, my other reasons, personal reasons, is, you know, when the story is trash, there's not much that can save it. I don't care whether it's CGI, whether it's great acting, whether it's hot illustrations. If the story's trash, it's trash. It's not, it's really, few stories have been fully trash. There's stories that's a little trash, and they not in the acting and the other stuff have made it okay. But if you got a banging story, it's really hard for everything else around it to be trash if it's state of the art, you know. But of course, if you can't get people that can act, the camera's shaky, the illustrations are all whack, it don't really, nobody's going to be able to read the story or understand the story. So anyway, that's a little bit on what distinguishes Florida LitCon from other cons, because I did put con in the title. It is a convention, but it's not your average comic book convention. It's a throwback to the, you know, almost purists, okay? So thank you very much. I hope to see you there. We're pulling in guests, and we're about to open up general admission sales, probably around Free Comic Book Day. All right, so it's coming for you, man. All right, thank you. And if you want more table, if you want a table, you want to be a part of the fun, hit me up, coachyojeff@gmail.com. It'll be on this in the description of this video. All right, peace.